Professor!
You're probably seeing that as we're doing these repetitions, when we're doing those what we call 3 to 7 second counts, we're doing movements like a repetition, and I'm coming back and I'm going to go into a movement and hold it and I'm counting. Well, why we do that is for these particular exercises, and as we go forward in our program, you'll be learning more about how the concept of 3 to 7s work. And that's giving us, on a neural level, a more capability for our brain to create those neural pathways and understand what we're asking the body to do orchestratively. So again, imagine your brain is the conductor. All of our muscles throughout our body are all the musicians, okay? We know that everybody has the same musicians as everybody else, okay? That's a given. Nobody has any more muscles than anybody else. It just is, the difference is what condition or state each of those muscles are, or how well those muscles know their parts to play orchestratively. So with this program, we're going to get more in tune with really making you much more aware of how to orchestrate, especially your core musculature, and then we'll talk about moving and activity as far as to your walking posture and trying to really reduce the impact of stress on our bodies with our daily activities. When we train this in a controlled environment, you don't have to think about 3 to 7s when you're going about your day. I don't want you to think about a super elongated spine. We're going to train our muscles when we do exercise with this focus. But what's going to happen is we're going to condition ourselves to have an unconscious effort where the body's going to kind of like kick in, and you're going to universally apply and sound. Your body's going to basically sound better. It's going to move better, unbeknownst to you, but underlying, it's a kind of conditioning process, okay? So again, we'll talk more about that. Now, the next exercise I want to give you is a common exercise for a very commonly tight muscle which everybody experiences. There's not one person, high-end athlete or low-level sedentary desk jockey that doesn't experience this. It's the piriformis. The piriformis muscle runs deep in the hip, underneath, probably close to the hip, and the bone is any muscle, but the gluteus maximus and gluteus medius tend to operate over top of it. Well, what happens when we don't have a really balanced core, a really balanced orchestrated core? Well, what happens is we get something that's called gluteal amnesia. So when your core is not operating efficiently and effectively, orchestratively, it literally inhibits the ability for some musicians of the core to connect with the gluteal muscles, the other section, excuse me, almost not allowing them to kind of really fully participate, okay? So somebody always has to pick up where somebody leaves off or doesn't completely participate in. So as a conductor, I'm used to trying to get something done, but unbeknownst to me, my gluteal muscles or my musicians haven't been getting engaged properly enough and getting the proper instruction because I haven't actually gave the proper instruction to other coordinating muscles in an overall attempt to move more efficiently in my stride and my walking, okay? So again, we'll talk more about that. But this is a stretch that's very powerful, and it's often prescribed in physical therapy for people, especially women having knee issues, okay? So it's all about strength-tension relationships. We're going to try to ease the tension of that muscle and how it kind of relates and taps into the rest of our lower body. And this is the position how I go into, okay? This is the safest position I've found of this piriformis. Is what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you put your leg, you're going to sit upright, and then you're going to have you put your leg, you can see I'm running alongside the bed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go for that 90 degrees again. Right up back here, my leg, as you can see in the pictures, okay, is that I'm creating a 90-degree angle here. So I want to stay, you can see how I'm shifting, and now I'm actually on my right hip. So most of my pressure is on my right cheek of my rear, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to stay elongated and just give me this little lean over here. I'm going to shift back a little bit. And what I want you to do is I want you just to slowly bend your arms while your chest is open, and I want you to imagine that your sternum is going down in line with your knee, the direction of the knee. So I'm just going to lean down slowly and stay elongated with my chest open. What do a lot of people like to do? They like to see them, they lay down and they let the whole upper back coil out, and they try to get that stretch. Well, as a conductor, I want you to orchestrate these muscles and keep them really on their game and elongate and slowly go down here and use your body weight, and you're going to have to use a little bit of control with your upper body, and we can practice good upper body posture while we're getting a really good stretch. So at this position, let your body weight being elongated, slowly going down, and you should have a really big stretch back here in my right hip, deep in there. So relax and breathe, and we're going to hold that for 30 seconds. This is a very common stretch. I mean, the piriformis is really overworked. So most people don't have a balanced core. Again, we're going to go forward and we're going to be talking more and more about how we get that balanced core and specific exercises that you need to achieve and be good at are ABCs, okay? But in the meantime, the piriformis kind of gets beaten up. It has to completely do the job of a lot of the lower body, and it doesn't like it after a while. So it gets really tight, okay? I'm going to ease up from that. I'm going to switch to the other side. So you can see how my leg is facing you, parallel to you. I'm going to try to achieve this 90 degrees coming forward and back based on my upper leg. And now I'm sitting on my left cheek. And you can see how I'm leaning here. See that? Don't expect to be upright here. I want you to have that lean. But I want you to turn a little bit and elongate just a little and lean down. Elongate and don't try to go to the floor. I don't want you to register the floor or how far you can go down on how well you're getting a stretch back here, deep in here on my left side now, right? So ease forward, elongated stretch, and really be in tune with what's going on in there. Keep your orchestra activated and focus on that. Relax and breathe. You're sitting heavy now in that left hip. And if you're doing it properly, you should have no back pain, extraneous pain. And with this position, with our 90 degrees, you're able to stretch that piriformis deep in here, right? And this knee is not in an awkward position. You're not putting any kind of extraneous stress in this knee joint, okay? There's versions of the piriformis that people do that can tend to be a little precarious. That's doable, and I'll show you here in a really quick second. But for the most part, this is probably the safest and most aggressive way, comfortably, you can do the piriformis without question of putting this knee in a potentially awkward situation, right? All right. So I'm going to ease out of that after a good count of 30 or 40, all right?
Professor!